Come on in, guys. We got another dope show prepared for you guys tonight. You guys are going to get the game. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good show tonight. Come on in. Come on in. When you come in, make sure you hit the like button as well. Mama Coco's in the house. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Calisthenics in the house, and he's practicing code, getting it done. Getting it done. I appreciate you guys for stopping in. You guys getting ready to get some game tonight. One of our good brothers who frequents this site right here. Black Mom's in the house. What's happening, brother? Mama Coco said, so far so good. Just starting my day. Going to work. Wow. Get that work done, Mama Coco. Get that work done. Come on in, guys. Hit that like button while you come in. What a fantastic week, guys. What a good week. Got two back-to-backs. Had one on yesterday with Kevin IT support, and I got a surprise for y'all tonight. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Let me make sure I get my setup right. Guys, I hope you're having a fantastic week. We got another show for you guys today. I wanted to make sure that I'm bringing the knowledge this week right here, man. Yesterday we had a great show with Brother Kev Tech IT support. Hopefully you guys got a chance to see that and hear Kevin tell, his story of how he got into tech. Not only that, how he's helping other people to get into tech. The people that we surround ourselves with are the people that we ultimately become. And that's why, we have networks like the Black Heights community, as well as the Black Heights Patreon, where we surround ourselves with people who are inspiring, aspiring, climbing a ladder, getting to the bag, in tech, having fun, being good fathers, being good wives, and so forth, right? And when you surround yourself with people who are pretty darn awesome, you get to leverage them and bring them on the show because they are influencers, inspiring people. And tonight, guys, we are going to have a good conversation with one of our brothers who is part of the Patreon, who is in tech. He's also a vet, and he's getting paid, man. And this brother frequents this channel and is a good panelist that comes on and gives us a whole bunch of knowledge as well, too. And before I introduce him or have himself introduce himself, guys, I just want to make sure that you guys, when you come into the show tonight, make sure you hit the like button, as well as you, if you're new to the show, hit the subscribe button. But without further ado, hold on. We got brother Steven in the house. Just got approved to take my PMP ready to level up. I appreciate that, Steven. That is a fantastic job, brother. That is an absolutely fantastic job. Durian's in the house as well, too. Brother Christian is in the house. Another one of our patrons that we're going to be getting on this show as well in the near future. But before we, you know what? It's time. It's time to introduce my good brother, my brother Gibran Crimson Square, man. How you doing, brother? You on mute, Gibran. You're going to have to unmute yourself, brother.
Sorry, I didn't want to mess up anything. I'm good. You?
I am doing absolutely fantastic, man. You having a good week?
Always. I can't complain. I cannot complain.
Wonderful, man. Wonderful. Well, I'm glad that you're able to come on to the show tonight and, give us some game. And most importantly, tell us about your story, right? Because, you have a great story, a good friend of mine. I've known you for, a couple months now. You're part of the Patreon, and I heard your story, and your story is very inspiring to me, about, you being in tech and having a chip on your shoulder and you just getting it done, right? So tell people a little bit about who Mr. Gibran Jones is and kind of walk us through the journey, brother.
All right. So I'm a middle child. I fit all those stereotypes. I'm a Scorpio. I fit all those stereotypes. I was born and raised in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania by my parents. By far my early on and biggest inspirations to who I am today. Salute to both of them. Love them to death. And I just always loved tech. Always thought the guy that was the hacker in the movie was the coolest guy. I thought he had the most reach. And always was infatuated with technology, what it could do, from the Flintstones to the Jetsons, like all the tech involved always meant something to me. It was just about trying to navigate and find my way to operate in that space and, not losing focus over the years.
Yep. Very good. Very good. So obviously you had a knack for tech. Obviously your mom and dad were in the house, and that kind of, helped you, go into tech. Tell people about, what you decided to do, how you decided to go to tech, because I know obviously you got an undergrad and so forth. You started to go to school, but tell them the beginning of the journey of how you got there.
So my dad's an educator, and that's what he always did. So we never really had time off. Even punishment was book reports, reading books, doing book reports. When we were off for the summer, he was off for the summer. So that sucked. But that was our reality. So constantly learning. My dad's one of 11 children.
Wow.
And, and then my grandmother, when she found out there were stipulations to government assistance, she refused it. And so now you have this single mother with 11 children who refused government assistance because there were stipulations in there. And so that need to be independent and stand on your own is kind of like in our blood. And then my mother, she grew up in Western Pennsylvania, a small town called Mount Union. And she's the youngest of 6, I believe. And so she started working for the state of Pennsylvania as a clerk typist. And then by the time she retired, she was doing infrastructure analysis. And so when she saw I was into computers and what they could do, she would bring home her binders from work, and I couldn't read. I didn't know what they were saying. I couldn't digest the information, but she just, kept feeding it to me. Like, here's the binder. Here's what I'm doing at work. This is what we got going on. And so it always kept me interested, along with that love for learning that our dad instilled in us. And so that's really what sparked it tech wise. We had typing class in high school. I wouldn't really call it an IT class, but we had typing class. And by the time before I even graduated, I signed up for the Army. So I have a sister who's 11 months older than me. She went to community college, and I just didn't want my parents to pay for my school. So I signed up for the Army before I even graduated, made sure I had a job that was dealing with technology, computers, encryption, and things of that manner. I went in, I told the guy, told the recruiter, I want a job I can use when I get out. He was like, well, you could be an AC tech. I'm like, nah, bro, listen, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm the oldest boy. If there was something to be done in the yard, if there's an early morning job, my dad woke me up. Manual labor's out. Like I have my fill. I'm not going for that. So I ended up being a signal support system specialist, which is not a radio operator, but I encrypted the radios and combat vehicles and helicopters, and as well as the offices. I had to take care of those PCs in there. And so once I got through basic training, I got to what they call advanced individual training. And these are where they start telling you about all the things the Army has to offer. And so you hear this, they start telling you about the Rangers and special forces and things like that. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do special forces. And so they do all this pre-testing, come back. They're like, yeah, your blood iron test is off. Do you have sickle cell? I was like, no. They're like, well, you got sickle cell trait. For what you want to do, if you stay up at those altitudes, you might develop sickle cell. So we can't allow you to move forward. Which kind of crushed me. Honestly, I don't know if I'd have made it or not. At that point, I was just ambitious and wanted the opportunity. And so at that point, I decided, well, I'll just be the honor graduate. So now I can't be, the super special guy. I'll be the best at what I'm doing. And so I ended up becoming the honor graduate of my class. Got assigned to Fort Hood, Texas, up there in Killeen. And so I walk into my unit, and I see this big buffalo on the wall with the cross sabers, and it said "Home of the Buffalo Soldiers." And I'm like, no, like not those guys, right? I didn't even know it was a real unit still, Yeah. And so that was very inspirational. So it even went more to me, from my upbringing, my dad being so militant, my mother being so militant. She was the first Black majorette in her town, in her small town. She was involved in an NAACP in her small town. And then my dad's older brothers were Black Panthers. And so it's kind of like we were raised knowing our history in this country. And so to see those buffaloes really, really meant a lot to me. And so at that point, it was just full force being the most professional soldier I could be at all times. Like that was my job. So getting paid less than minimum wage. If anyone's in the military, they know that when you go in the military, you get paid less than minimum wage because your hours are 24/7 and you're only making like $16,000 a year, right? You can get sent to war making $16,000 a year, but it's the culture is different. It's about the mission. It's not about your emotions, your feelings. It's about you being a professional at whatever your job is, whether you're a cook, one of the super special guys, or a pilot is kind of irrelevant. You're expected to be professional no matter how old you are. And so a guy was leaving, and Sergeant First Class Brown said, we need someone to take over Alpha Troop, which was usually E5 position, which is a sergeant. I was a private. And I was like, I'll do it. And they're like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Now, full disclosure, this is just me talking crap. I had no idea what equipment they had. I was just gassed up the fact that I was like the honor graduate. And so I thought I would like know something. I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing.
You sound like you was confident, man.
I was hyped. I played myself. I was really, really hyped. But once you speak up, right, you got to execute now. Like they're like, all right, John, go ahead. So at 19, I got 130 personnel. I got 30 combat vehicles that I'm in charge of to encrypt their equipment worth, millions, if not billions of dollars, 8 helicopters and 6 offices at 19. So this kind of like shapes, and I'm the only commo guy for Alpha Troop.
Wow. Wow.
And so this kind of shapes like your personality and your level of intensity at times. And then, unbeknownst to me, they were field testing a new type of communications equipment. At the time, it was called FBCB2 with my unit. And so no one else in the Army had it, just this unit. So not only did I talk myself into this position, there's a new piece of equipment that even the place I just came from couldn't have trained me on.
Yeah.
And it was really cool though. It was a really cool piece of equipment. So now I'm dealing with encrypting radios, encrypting GPS, and encrypting this secret squirrel piece of equipment. So I end up being one of the special guys, I guess, anyway, right?
Yep.
And so I did that for 2 years. In between those 2 years, 9/11 happened. I went home that Christmas. I told my mom we're probably going to deploy because we got this new equipment, right? The Army wants to see if it works, if it really works, And if you weren't like in a special unit prior to that, the only other conflict was probably Desert Storm, maybe, and not a lot of people went to that, unless you were like 82nd, 101st. And so finally get our orders that we're going to deploy to Iraq. All right, cool, no problem. Seeing some wild stuff leading up to it, people making power of attorneys that girls they met 3 weeks ago, and it was wild. Like, man, it was nuts. It was nuts.
Wow.
But people trying to hurt themselves so they don't have to go.
Yeah.
And they ended up
a scary time. That has to be a scary time, Gibran. Though you got to think about it. Like you going to war. Yeah.
I mean, if you focus on it, but they'll put you on a plane in a neck brace. Like that don't mean nothing to them. We can get you do some paperwork. So now not only are you still going to deploy, you ain't got no stories. But I think really at that time, when I said like being a professional soldier, that was part of it. Like it really didn't bother me. It was like, okay, like this is what we have to do. I wasn't out there trying to be G.I. Joe or Tough Tony or anything like that, but it was kind of like, this is the job. Like, we knew 9/11 happened. We had the Apaches flying all over Fort Hood. They had us out standing guard during that time. But you got to know, like, especially being in an all-male unit, a combat unit, we wanted that smoke. Like, it was like, thanks for the opportunity, because I think at a certain point, young men want to write a passage. They don't want to just breeze through anything. They want to be challenged in some way, shape, or form. So I've been talking. So if you got any questions,
no, that's dope. No, what it is, Gibran, you tell me this, while you were in, how many of the tech roles did you actually have yourself, and what are some of the things that you actually did? Tech roles. How many different tech roles did you have?
Oh man, I was a one-man IT shop. You're talking about help desk. You're talking about higher level things, taking radios apart, soldering, the encryption, all the way to fixing printers, PCs, ordering replacement parts. Yeah, you had to. I didn't want them to go back to headquarters and say, Jones couldn't do this. And then being a lower ranked guy, I was still following formation to sweep the motor pool. I had a weird military career. I never really had a sergeant over me. It was, first sergeant, executive officer, commanding officer, and that was about it. But if they said, we need people to sweep the motor pool, I would volunteer, and they would kick me out because in their mind, if the CO's looking for the commo guy and I got you sweeping the motor pool, now I have a problem. So you got to go. But I would always show up just in case. I never wanted anyone to think I thought I was above my rank just because of my job.
Yep. Well, that's even how you are today as well too. So let's talk about this. So how long were you in the Army?
4 years and a few months. That Iraq deployment lasted a bit longer than we thought. We thought we were going to be over there for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because we figured the Gulf War wasn't that long. We're way better than those old guys. We'll go over there 3 months. Bingo, bango, done. Right? Like, that's the job.
How many years has it been until last year till we moved ourselves? How many years was that?
I know. That was 17 years. It was a 17-year conflict.
17 years. Wow.
Yeah, it was, and I was in that first year, it was It was rough. It was good though, interacting with the locals, is because it's never really the people, it's the governments, right? So you interact with the locals. I have a Muslim name. My mom and dad named me after a Lebanese poet. And so I would always tell them my first name. Shopping at the markets, you get to see real poverty. There's a lot to be learned. You get to see the best and worst of humanity on a deployment like that. Then on the way back, they were going to split us up. So I've been with these guys for years. I know this conflict just started. We were already there longer than 3 months. And we thought it was going to be 6 months. And then once we passed 6 months, we're like, you know what? Whenever we go home, whatever.
Wow.
And so now they're like, when you get back, we're sending some of y'all to Fort Carson, and then some of y'all are going to stay at Fort Hood. So I was like, I'm getting out because I don't want to redeploy with new people that I got to learn all over again. And so I said, okay, I'll go to college. Mom went to Penn State. Dad went to Penn State. So I applied
you come
to Penn
from
State.
a long line of educators, Gibran. I mean, like seriously, I mean, like this top-notch educators. I mean, like one thing I haven't even asked you on this one, Gibran, is, I learned from brother Master IT, Rob, that when you go into the Army, you can test in certain things, right? It's just some sort of test that you can test. I'm assuming you test really high when you went in.
I did
those roles. Wow.
I did because I wanted that job, but I didn't. And I got to talk to Master IT about that because like people study for that test now. I didn't study for that test. I didn't even know there was. They were like, "Oh, you got to take a test." I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever." Like I was totally unprepared. Like I should have prepared. Maybe I could have got something. I don't know. Work at the Pentagon or something. I don't know. I was totally unprepared because there was no one there to prep me. Like people in my family weren't really in the military, and then I had a few uncles in Vietnam, and then one didn't make it back, and then one was off from the things he saw. So I couldn't really consult anybody. So I just went into it blind, really.
Well, you come from two very highly educated parents too, though. So it's, obviously school probably wasn't a big deal for you even in high school, I would assume as well, too. Yeah,
no.
I figured that.
Well, it wasn't an option to fail either, right? The last thing my dad knew was one of his coworkers telling him about his son, daughter, or his other son failing. That was going to be a long summer.
Yep. So do this, Gibran. The transition from out of the military, now you're going to college, and you decided you want to go to Penn State because that's where your mom and dad went as well too. How was that, man? I mean, like, a transition from being employed, now you're going to a top-notch university. Talk about that.
It was rough. We didn't go to they went to University Park, but they continued their education at Penn State Harrisburg, which is where I'm from. So I went to Penn State Harrisburg, but it was a rough transition. In retrospect, it wasn't rough at the time because I was so focused. I didn't really have time to process what I really went through, and so I didn't know I got in until I got back to the States. And then by the time I got back to the States, it was like 4 to 6 months before I actually got out the military. And now I got to buy books and attend classes as what they call a non-traditional student. And not only that, we were part of the first freshman class Penn State Harrisburg ever had. So prior to that, you had to be an upperclassman, graduate student, doctoral student.
Wow. That is, wow. That's and obviously, what did you major in? What was your major when you decided that you wanted to go to school in college?
At first, it was computer science, and then I saw something called matrix algebra. I was like, not at all. Matrix what? Nope, I'm good.
I didn't even know that major even exists.
No, thank you. And then I saw information science and technology, which was still tech, and it had 3 options, right? You could have like a policy concentration, a programming concentration, or like a bridge between the two, between the developers and the customers. So I chose that one. And then, first day of class, it was my English class. I'll never forget it. First day before the class even started, it was a guy, his hat on backwards, younger guy. He said, "Man, whoever goes to that war is stupid." I was like, "Man, it's gonna be a long 4 years. It's gonna be a long 4 years."
Yeah, that's pretty insensible too. I mean, like obviously, he doesn't know who's all in that class and who been there, right? I'm surprised you didn't say anything to him.
Nah, it wasn't worth it. It's like, what are you going to do? It's like talking to a wall. Some people are so staunch, especially when they're younger. No disrespect to the younger folks, but like, especially when they're younger, like they are very idealistic in their outlook. And I've always, tried to educate people like, listen, not everyone I was deployed would agree with being deployed, but it's the job. right? You have
Mm.
to do the job. Plus, I mean, if you look at most of it, it's getting better now. Most promotions for veterans don't show a lot of black guys. So it's hard. It's sometimes kind of hard for people to bridge that gap and say like, oh yeah, there are black veterans. Like, why wouldn't there be? But when they see it, they don't. It's not shown. They're doing a better job now, though. But yeah, college was fun. Brought their first Greek fraternity to that campus. Made really good connections, really good networks, really good opportunities. I did an internship every year that I was there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's, I'm assuming though, Gibran, you did that because of the fact that, you were educated, you got exposure to that because of, obviously your parents and your older sister and so forth, right?
Of course. It's like do it all. So you need an internship to graduate anyway, which I love about that program. You need to do an internship to graduate. And so you got to get some experience. That's why, you see a lot of time people like, I don't have the experience. So I knew that was could be a barrier to entry, right? Because I didn't know if civilians would respect what I did in the military. And so my first internship was unpaid help desk, but I didn't need the money because I had a GI Bill. And the GI Bill doesn't go to the school, it goes to you and you pay the school. And so I did unpaid help desk internship, which was horrible, but everyone in IT should do one. You got to work the help desk. Listen, you got to know who you're dealing with. It's rough. The plug it in, reboot it. Like you got to get used to telling people that, and it works on your customer service skills. And then I did. I was a DBA for insurance company, and they had like the tapes. They had like old school stuff going on, and it was good to do that. And then they're like, "Oh, you know how to use Visio? Could you help us map these processes out?" So like they leverage they leverage my knowledge of up-to-date software to help them build out their structure. And then I did 2 years doing network security for a student loan place in Pennsylvania, and I actually locked into. The other guys were great with the firewalls and things like that. I was really good at scrubbing laptops after people got fired and finding stuff they think they deleted.
Good. Wow.
For some reason, I just like that, and finding unauthorized Wi-Fi, like that was my thing.
Very good. Very good. That's so. I mean, like you've done 4 internships. When by the time you graduate, Gibran, you already have a good 4 solid years of work experience. So take us along that journey. Okay. Was that journey like to, what did you graduate and go on to work, or where did you graduate and go on to work? Well, so obviously you graduated, but where did you go to work?
For a medical company, being an implementation specialist there. So help setting up new hospitals and using their writing scripts and things like that for their software. And it was good because, I graduated in 2008. Everybody wanted to be a specialist, and you still see it now. Everybody wanted to be a specialist, and I just never wanted to be that. Like I said, my grandmother didn't want government assistance because it came with stipulations, right? Like, so I don't want to be just the programmer or just to this or just to that. I want to know a little bit of everything because remember, I'm trying to bridge that gap between the developer and the user. And so the more I know on both sides allows me to do my job easier because, again, like being a soldier, you have to be a professional. There's no reason for you to not know how to do something if the information is there. And so I did that for a few years, helped set up a new hospital in Texas. Matter of fact, one of the Baylor hospitals, flew out there, helped set up a new hospital. And again, dealing with users who don't want updated technology. So we were trying to get the nurses to get off of their paper and to use these tablets, and they did not want to do it. And it was like, wow. But, as a tech guy, we're always like, but this is better. But it's not what they're used to. Right. And, you being in sales, sometimes you got to talk. Yeah, you got to talk to them and kind of see it their way.
Yep. No, that's wow. So you did that for quite some time. And then what was next? So obviously after working at the hospital, with you not, going the route of the specialist, what was your next role? Because, here's a piece that, I want people to hear. You've touched a lot of different areas, even from your internship, Gibran, to even the classes that you had. And then, graduating and going to work for a hospital, you don't have to specialize in something. If you want to, touch something, you can do that throughout your entire career. And obviously you've been doing this for quite some time, and that's another thing I tell people as well, is that they can do a lot of things when they get in IT. But here's the thing as well, too, is that, if you do something and you don't like it, there's still opportunities for you to do something else. So make a decision on what you decide to do and just go for it. And if you don't like it, find something else to do. Those skills will translate over. And that's what it seems like. You've done quite a bit of things in IT. So you went from the hospital. What was your next role?
So my next role was starting a business.
Wow.
And because I've always looked at my job, no matter what the specific IT department was, it was always connecting that IT to the user. There's always going to be the user. And so I can explain multiple things to them. And then I had to start a business. I had to start a business because I had a new wife, new son, new house, no job, unemployed. And I'm like, momentarily disappointed because I checked all the boxes: military, college, no record, no kids out of wedlock, I don't have any BMs running around, no baby mamas running around, nothing. Nothing's gonna cover my life. And you still find yourself out of a job. It's like, I did what y'all told me to do. But accountability was so big in my house. Like, there's no complaining. Like, you find a solution. So like I talk to my parents about something, I got to have a solution. I can't just sit there and lay my woes on them, because it's going to be like, what are we doing? Like, what's next?
You don't got a job. What's stopping you from going to get one?
Right. So why would I expect someone to hire me if I don't hire myself? And so that's when I created Crimson Square. And I've had it ever since. Started out strictly just web design, but then you got these out of the box, Wix, Square, so on and so forth. And so now I do web design and SEO, where it allows me to leverage what I know about code and algorithms to improve visibility for clients. And then I got another job. I started working as a software engineer for an education company. So now I got military, I got student loans, insurance, and now I'm dealing with like an education company. And so I did that for a few months, and then I got an offer to be the webmaster for the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, which was awesome because we have the largest indoor farm expo in the States. It's called the Farm Show. It happens every year. And so to be the webmaster for that, working with the sponsors and making sure everything's up to date on the website, it was really like right up my alley, along with a great team of older guys who weren't afraid they weren't intimidated by me. They wanted to push everything they knew to me so that I could implement it. They weren't holding back anything. It was a really good team.
Wow. And did you still continue to do Crimson Square work on the side? Because obviously you're an entrepreneur and you're still holding a full-time job, right? So how did you balance that?
Have to. You just have to. I don't know so much that I live to enjoy things. I kind of live to achieve things. And so at some points, just fun isn't in it. Relaxation isn't in it. Like, that's never been my goal. And knowing that I have a family now, and then by that time I had two sons, they can't go without because someone made a decision, or there's layoffs, or someone didn't do the budget correctly, or the economy changed. Unacceptable for my family. They need to eat at all times, and I need to be in control of a piece of that at all times, even with the help of my wife. And so Crimson Square is going to always be there. Whether I got to sign NDAs or whatever, it doesn't matter. Crimson Square is going to always be there. Around that time, though, I started to realize that the only way to get more time out of a day is to wake up earlier. Some people wake up, go to bed late, and they still wake up at a regular time, whatever that may be for them individually. But you're so burnt out by the end of the day because you expel so much energy doing everything else. So I kind of figured, I think it was Eric Thomas, and he was talking about how billionaires watch the 3:00 news. And he was like, most of y'all didn't even know the news was on at 3:00. And I said, okay, that's my new wake up time. So wake up 3, work on the business, about 6, give it a break, get ready for the day. I had to be to work at 8, plenty of time, work during my lunch break on a laptop, tablet, whatever, go back to work. But I think, owning the business made me a great employee because I don't have the same gripes that a regular employee has because I don't own this. Oh, that's what you want to do? You want to do it? Cool, no problem. Oh, you want to? No problem.
You don't have to make all the other decisions that you have to make for Crimson Square. I mean, like, obviously that people will see that if they are balancing both of those things, man. I'm like, hey, you know what? If you don't own it, that means that means your life is easy.
Way easier. They look at me like I'm crazy. Like, man, do you have any emotion? I'm like, you care about this? No. Okay. Like, listen. If we stay late, they're paying us overtime, right? Especially in IT, right? Or the on-call schedule. If you have an on-call job, it's the job. It's the job. I work 24/7 for $16,000 a year. Like, so anything from that is an upgrade. Funny enough, when I was young, I was like, my goal. This is funny. My goal was to make $40,000 a year. I was like, if I can make $40,000 a year, I'm gonna be okay. Man, I hit that on my first job. Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
I'm glad I updated.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So you gotta tell us this too, Gibran. Obviously, what is the actual role that you're in now, right? And obviously, where is it that you actually want to go as well too?
So the role I'm in now is I'm a business analyst for DoD, but I don't work with the United States military. I work with a foreign military, which is fun because I can relate to people. I can still be that bridge, as well as being a specialist in a few different areas. And really, anytime my goal is for me to be Crimson Square full time. The benefits and that can't be a burden on my family. And so as long as I need health benefits and, the market's crazy right now, then you got to keep working. But it's honorable in a sense where it's like, it doesn't mean you give your job 50% and you give your business 50%. You give everything 100%. I give my sons 100%. I give my marriage 100%. Like, some people that know me say like you're intense. It's like, everything deserves 100%. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing 100%. And so even at the job now, it's great, man. I love working with our foreign partners. And they tend to lean more toward me, regardless of, rank or whatever title someone has. They're like, where's Gibran? Because I could talk to them. And I'm not talking down to them. I'm talking to them as a person, because that's a skill that you learn, on deployment. Like, you talk to those locals crazy if you want to. Next thing you know, you got an IED alley you got to go through, or you could treat them like humans, and they could bring you like food from the market. It's the same. It's the same thing everywhere. Just treat people with respect. It's easy to do.
I love that. I love that you absolutely said that, man, because that's going to get you far as well too. I mean, like, obviously that's a sign of a leader. But not only that, that's going to get you far because people are always going to remember that piece of it as well, too, man. You treat people very well, in these leadership positions. They're always going to want to work with you. And at the end of the day, when you are in a leadership position anyway, that's how you end up getting results as well, too. So, no, I love that you said that, Gibran. So, obviously, where can people go to, to get, obviously work done by Crimson Square? I want you to plug your business, brother.
Oh, they can go to crimsonsquare.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, Twitter. We're on YouTube, web design, SEO. I'm a Meta certified media planning professional. I'm also a Meta certified lead trainer. So if you have an organization, especially nonprofits, if you want to get your team training on how to properly use Meta and the ad platform, I'm a lead trainer. I'm certified by them to teach people about their ad platform. What I like about that certification is you can't find it. You can't go on the website and look it up. They offered it to me. Again, I took advantage of opportunity, and I got that certification as well. So, and I love working with smaller businesses. Although I did have the opportunity through networking to work with the NFL in 2020, 2021, and that was great too.
Wow.
It's entrepreneurship is one of the best things you can do. It's not so much about you becoming the next Bezos, but you get to see how valuable you are. So you're not looking for value outside of yourself. You have a skill that people want. I did the web design. Now people are like, oh, my nephew builds websites. Cool. But if you're on the 5th page of Google, nobody cares. It's a beautiful site.
Yeah.
Nobody's seeing it. And now last year, Google released a new algorithm the week of Black Friday. Most people didn't know. So it's good to see my clients grow and outgrow themselves to a point where they're competing with people they didn't think they can compete with. It was good to work with the NFL. What's surprising about that is getting on these calls with the NFL, it was 4 Black women, me, and a white guy.
That's it?
That was the team. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm assuming they do business with minority-owned businesses for the most part.
They do. And it was through networking with somebody that I met through my Meta lead training certification. Because, with IT, it's kind of like, especially web design, SEO, digital marketing, I don't need to hide anything from my clients because they don't have the time to do what I do. In some fields, everyone wants to hide it and they want to only tell you certain things. No, just leave it up to me. When I'm dealing with people who deal in clothing, who deal in coaching, who deal in weaves, who deal in NFL, who deal in cookies, who deal in diversity, equity, inclusion, they don't have time to learn digital marketing and web design too. Yeah. So when they ask me a question, I answer, and they're like, "Oh, I'll just talk to Gibran." Like it creates a relationship, a family-like relationship where they can rely on me to provide them the real, whether they're still under contract or not. I don't want to see you fail. It ain't no sweat off my back to tell you the answer. Now, if you need me to do it, that's another conversation, right? But at the same time, it takes no sweat off my back to tell you how to do it. Why would I set you up to fail? Small businesses run it all, man. We run it all, and I want to see them compete at a high level with some of these behemoths out here because we're way more agile. We could do more, and we care about our customers more.
That's dope, man. That is absolutely dope, man. I love the fact that you gain a whole bunch of skills, Gibran. I mean, like your story is a story that is unique from the fact that obviously you grew up in a 2-parent household and you went to the military, and the reason why you went to the military is because you didn't want your mom and dad to pay for your school, right? I mean, like students could have did student loans and so forth, but he was like, nah, I'm going to take care of this myself. You made the smart decision to get into tech. You come out, right? You then go to school. Your school's for the most part paid for, right? And then you decide to get a job and learn a whole bunch of skills, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, I got a little bit of a gap right here. Let me start my own business.
Right.
Let me start my own business. You get hired again in the tech field, so where you're able to balance both, right? And now you're balancing both, and that's the entrepreneurship journey that I'm taking as well too, Gibran. So I that's what you and we're very close. We can talk about it, but it's the point that I'm trying to make is that you get into tech, you can learn a whole bunch of skills and then take the skills that you learn and create the business on the side. Right. And you can balance both. And ultimately, when you get to a certain point where this is big, you can get all of this stuff out. You can cut it out, the corporate world, the other piece of it out. I mean, like, because in the earlier you can do it, right? The earlier you can create this and find your passion or to find what you believe in, the faster you can get out of here, man. So I love the fact that you said that, man. I love the fact that you said that. What would you tell people or some of the the pitfalls of going into entrepreneurship?
Don't expect people to believe in you. They really, some people, they can't help it, man. They just really believe in the marketing. So if you're not all over Instagram with 1,000 billion trillion likes and follows, like they may not think you're any good. And first impressions matter. If you need a website, let me know. Like we'll make it really, really clean. But some things just aren't important. You got vanity metrics out there, and sometimes you have to, and this is in any field, you have to train your client to know what success looks like because they've been marketed to by people who don't know what you know. And so even these people fool you into thinking they know more than you, but they don't. They just don't. Mark Zuckerberg probably isn't coding anymore. Probably
no, he's not.
I doubt it. Like, so you put him on his pedestal, but there's a time to switch over into strictly a business brain, and you could be more technical than the people you look up to, but don't expect everybody to believe in you. You got to always show and prove every single day, and you got to execute on a high level. And it's gonna put a chip on your shoulder where you don't have any you may not have any clients of people and then the NFL calls you and you're like, well, how can the NFL see it and y'all can't see it and y'all know me?
I love that. I absolutely love that. And that's the name of the show too, man. Gibran had a chip on his shoulder. I love that you absolutely said that because
All day.
That's big time when you go from having small clients like that into having, big behemoths like the NFL. And you have that, as your marquee, project, your marquee, customer, right? That's fantastic, man.
Yeah, some people, they just don't know any better. The people are scared to start businesses. We've all worked with somebody who's brilliant. It's like, why do you work here? You work here under this manager who doesn't know your job, and you run this place up and down. Like, starting a business is rough and it's hard, and it's risky, but it's worth it and it's yours and it's something you control. And then you'll find yourself less and less likely to try to control other people. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for gossip. I don't have time for rumors and things of that sort. Like I just don't have it. Yeah, I don't have time for it. I want to see people win. Like maybe not win that lawsuit, right? Like I don't know nothing about that, but like I want to see people win. And it's like you surround yourself by winners. You attract more people. You find yourself in rooms that years ago you wouldn't have thought you could be in, and be prepared to be on your own in a sense where it's like the things people talk to and relate about, you really can't, but you're in a different world. If you think Walt Disney and Brunson and Jobs and Gates and Bezos and Elon Musk, if you think these are normal people, you're out of your mind.
Yep.
Far from normal. They probably have never been normal. But that's what it takes to be successful because all the normal people are doing normal things.
Yep. Sitting there watching the gossip channels.
My dad wouldn't let us. Well, he would let us, right? I'm not gonna say he wouldn't let us. He would let us watch sports, right? He wouldn't allow us to have a favorite team.
Wow. Yeah, and what was that? And what was that, Gibran?
He said when they win, they don't send you a check. What do you mean we won? He said you're sitting there watching someone else make money. I'm 13. Yeah, my dad put it on heavy. Man. He put it on heavy. My dad was only into boxing, and he would not like stop an event or like put something off to watch a boxing match. Like either I see it or I don't. It's irrelevant because I got something to do. This is pre-military. Like a lot of the things that people attribute in my personality to the military really came from my parents. But yeah, we weren't. There was no. This is my team and that's my team and my favorite player. He wasn't with any of that. He said, "You're not gonna walk around with a jersey with some other dude's name on the back." Like, my dad's thorough, man. He's solid, man. He's solid. Still like that though. My mom, she's 70 years old now. She still get on the treadmill every morning. I can't find her. She all over the place, running around shopping, doing her thing. My dad's 68, riding his bike, fixing up houses. Like they set that example for us. And I think they set that example for us because yes, I had a 2-parent home, but they didn't. Neither one of them did. And so I find myself, I try to tell people, compete with your parents. Wherever they leveled off, you should never go below that. Always compete with your parents. One of my parents grew up in the projects. Another one grew up in the apartments. We've never stayed in an apartment. So even as an adult, I'm not staying in an apartment because they didn't sacrifice all of that for me to go backwards. It's a challenge. It's not about it being easy. There's so many lessons if you just pay attention to the people around you, whether they're on the same path or not. Another story. I'm sorry. So I got back from my ride.
Keep going, brother. Keep going, man.
When you're deployed, your money's tax-free. So I came back with a whole year and some months worth of check. And I brought a car. And so I was going to get, tent and rims and a system because,
that's what we do.
Don't make sense, but And my dad said,
"Oh, you're stunting."
Yeah. My dad said, "Why are you going to impress people just as broke as you are?" Changed my mind ever since. Like, man, that's a good point. Like, we all live in the same neighborhood. Why would I act like I have more money? We all live in the same neighborhood. Like I remember going to a meeting for the Alumni Society board for my university, and I'm looking at the Zillow to find out where the meeting is. It was at somebody's house, and all these houses are $400,000 and up, and they all sit on at least 4 acres, right? So we go to this man's house, beautiful house, got pythons and stuff in the backyard. It was wild. And he opens the door. He has on a Hawaiian shirt and Skechers. And when I left that meeting, I told him, I said, babe, I need a pair of Skechers. She said, are you serious? I said, listen, if that's what he wears, that's what I'm wearing.
You about to emulate yourself to success.
Listen, I've been an observant nerd my whole life. I haven't been through a lot per se, but I've seen a lot and learned how to avoid it by observing others. And so when I see success, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's what y'all do. Like I follow it. It's so at a certain point, and this is for everybody, it's not really about being cool, because once you're successful, you're automatically cool.
And you don't even need to talk about it. That's the whole point of it as well, too, man. It just shows itself. It shows itself. Yeah,
they can feel it.
I love it, and you're right, and people feel it as well too, just by how you carry yourself. I love that, man. I absolutely love that, Gibran. Let me get to the chats over here, man. I want to see if we got any questions that hit us, brother. Calisthenics says, smart. He did it right, telling the recruiter what he want. I recommend people research before going in, military, or they get a job that doesn't translate to a civilian. That's actually right. I mean, I love that you said that too, Gibran. Like, you knew exactly. I mean, you basically went in there with a plan as well. How most people should be going to college with a plan, right? Like, you went in there with a plan, and you came out was like, hey, I got to have some valuable skills that can translate to the real world, even with me just going to the military. I love that. I absolutely love that. Tangeray Genatonic says, good evening, BH in chat. Christian says, that's what's up, Gibran. I grew up in Fort Hood, Texas until high school. And then he went to Hanau, Germany. My pop was in the Army. 166 Ordnance was his old unit. Dope stuff, man. That's brother Christian right there. Yeah,
congrats on your certificate too, brother.
Absolutely. Christian getting it, man. Christian is absolutely killing it and crushing it this year. Jemiah's in the house as well, too. Ashton, I appreciate the $10 super chat, brother. Hello, gents, dropping in to support and get some knowledge. Appreciate you, brother Ashton. Engineer Cannabis says matrix algebra using matrix algebra using matrix to solve mathematical function and mathematical equations. You know what? Engineering Cannabis wouldn't know. He would know. He
would know. We know who you are. He would definitely know.
Engineering Cannabis, man, he's going to be on the show. I believe it's going to be this Saturday. He sent me an email today, and we're more than likely we're going to get on Saturday. So, but yes, genius, absolute genius, AI, machine learning. So yes, he's absolutely right. He would know. Teresa's Ways, don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much, Ms. Way, for reminding me. Wow, quite the journey, Mr. Jones. You have an inspiring story, Tangeray says. Absolutely, he does. That's why I wanted to bring him on here. Christian says this: do you have contract work available for developers? Ooh, it's a good question.
Of course. As soon as I get the work, like, it's all about spreading the wealth. If no one ever gave me an opportunity, like, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have now. I have some things lined up right now. Just hit me, Christian. I think we're linked on LinkedIn. Let me know what you're looking for, and let's get to it.
Absolutely. Good stuff. And this is his website, www.crimsonsquare.com. Guys, go and check out Brother Gibran.
Thank you,
Need some SEO work, any digital service, media services, get with Brother Gibran, man. He's going to get you right with Crimson Square. Christian said your dad was no joke.
Nah, still not.
Oh, gosh. ERN says, I'm very grateful for this channel and hearing the inspiring words from Gibran. I felt that everything in my life, I got a chip on my shoulder for my life. You know, I say this, ERN, man, you know, if you failed, the biggest thing is you got to keep getting back up, and you should have a chip in your shoulder, and you got to push through it, brother. You got to push through it, man. We all fail. We all come from different points in our life. Hit him, Gibran. I know you want to take on that one.
Here's the thing, though, like, you didn't fail. You got to keep working until you find your calling, and that's like your calling is called a calling because it calls you, right? Like you don't call it, it calls you. And so you just keep working, bro. Keep grinding. It will reveal itself. And then once it reveals itself, execute. No fear, right? Because here's the thing. Most people aren't scared of failing. What they're scared of is success because now they have to keep it up. We've all spent our whole lives failing, falling off of bikes, learning how to walk, run, not making sports teams, not making college teams, not making it pro. We've been failing all the time. The problem with being successful is now people have an expectation of you that you have to keep up, and you can't really fall below that. So failing is great. Failing is not the scary part. Succeeding is the scary part, bro. So keep working because you're calling. Remember, your calling calls you. You don't call it. Keep going after it.
I love it. I love that, man. If that didn't motivate you, ERN, man, hey, man, yeah, I don't know what's going to motivate you, but I will tell you this, brother. You listen to Brother Gibran and keep going for sure. HB Sparkling Water, I appreciate you on the $5 super chat. The Jersey comment, though, with another man's name on the back. You know what? When you said that, Gibran, I was going to jump in, but check this out, right? So I forgot who said it. My wife and I was having lunch one weekend, and I don't know if it was Shannon Sharp or somebody said that. It's like, I've never worn a jersey. Why am I going to wear another, a jersey with another man's name on the back, man? Like,
and be proud. Like, no, look at
me. And somebody said it, right? Because you think about it, right? When you're in high school and you play sports, right? If you're in high school, you played sports, typically on a game day, you let your girl wear your jersey, right? And she's the representation of you, but you wearing another man's jersey like that, when I heard that, I just changed my mind, man. And the fact that your dad knew that right away, he was a smart man, man. He's a smart man.
Listen, he had tough brothers. Like, you got brothers that are Black Panthers or they're running the streets and you're like the second youngest. Like, you're going to get all that pushed down to you. And now he's trying to and I don't think it was that he was against it, but, fathers have that foresight to see, like I grew up my whole life playing basketball. I think I was in high school. He was like, listen, Gibran, I'm really good. I'm really glad you're playing basketball. Kept you out of a lot of trouble, but you're only 5'8". Like, this is the conversation we're having. Like, you're 5'8". Like, let's be serious about something. Like, let's start figuring out what we're going to use this basketball for, because you going pro's a long shot, and that's the house we grew up in. Even now, sometimes my wife is like, I can't believe you and your dad talk like that. It's like nothing's off the table, because that's how you learn. You have to be honest with one another. And, if your son's 4'11" and he's convinced he's going to be the next Shaq, you're failing him. You need to listen for him. I'm going to need your calves to get bigger and you to grow, or we're going to have to get you in like calculus club or something, because this ain't going to work. And
you know what? You know what, Brother Gibran, and sorry to interject right there, man, but I I love the fact that there's just that balance that you grew up around, right? Because you got your dad getting the realist, right? And obviously you got the other balance of your mom and so forth. And I think that's what families who are together does. It provides a bit of a balance, right? To where you're not leaning to one side, right? Potentially being on the side where you're told you can, be Shaq, where, you're only 4'7". Nah, you got somebody over saying, seriously? Yeah, he can be anything he wants in the world, but he ain't about to be no damn Shaq. You know what I mean? That 4%, right? So, that's important. That's very, very important. And I'm glad that, you mentioned that, because those are the conversations I have with my wife about our kids as well too. Yeah, you can go towards something, but there's going to have to be an ultimate time where you just get serious, right? And it's not a game anymore, right? And your dad was a person that did that for you, and typically that comes from a lot of the male figures in the households.
Yeah, I thank God for that, for my mom and dad. And I thank God for my mom, who was like just the sweetest, most feminine. My mom is literally probably 4'11", 4'10", but like she gets after it, but she always worked hard. And to start as a clerk typist, And then end up infrastructure analysis while raising 3 kids. Like my sister and I are only 11 months apart, and then my little brother's only 4 years behind. And so like that's a short period of time. And then for her to make those advancements in her career while maintaining a household, and she always cooked, like there were certain things that they modeled for me that I still take in, and it throws some people off, but it's a healthy respect for my parents, like not being scared of somebody because of their title, because in my mind, I have a dad. Like my dad's 68. I still won't box him. Like that dude got some tricks I don't even want to know about, right? Like, so like that's gonna always be dad, like and my mom's gonna always be mom. When we live on separate ends of the city, and she put down like a mouse trap, and she called me in the morning. I'm like, Mom, what's going on? She said, oh, I caught a mouse in the mouse trap. I'm like, congratulations. Like, she's like, no, come get it. Like, no, like, come get it. Like, it's not staying in here. Yes, ma'am. On the way. Because that's mom. So you model these behaviors, and I don't mind. I don't even want to say giving back to my parents, but like kind of giving back to my parents, because they instilled in me. Listen, it's our job to raise you. You hear a lot of people say, well, you raise your kids right, and in the end, they take care of you. But that's not their job, right? Your job is to raise your kids. And then your kid's job is to raise their kids. But being that they raise me a certain way, I have the means to help them. But they don't even need my help, even at 68 and 70 years old. So I'm just really appreciative of them. And then with anything that you want to do, like there's possibility and then there's probability. Anything's possible, but is anything probable? Like sometimes you just gotta look at the numbers.
Yep. Well, hey man, that's the traditional and realist household you grew up in, which is the reason why you were able to drop so much game on us tonight, man. Wonderful conversation. Marcella says, great conversation. I appreciate that, brother.
Dr. Taylor, Dr. Marcella T. Taylor, my guy.
Marcella's.
Yeah, I met him when he was 17. He went to Penn State Harrisburg. He initially wanted to be an alpha. And so we were Kappas. He said, I want to be an alpha. I said, okay, I'll introduce you to them. Now, he told me later, he said in his mind, was like, yo, he's not going to try to recruit me or nothing? Like, what's wrong with this dude? And so now he's a Kappa too. So that's one of my close brothers. I love that dude.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Brother Christian says, I failed a lot in life, but I don't let that stop me from achieving my goals. You got to figure out a way to get to where you really want to in life and make it happen. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, brother. And Brother Christian also says, Gibran, your dad sounds like an old school Southern brother.
He's from North New Jersey, Brick City, 100%. And now we're in like this medium town where my mom came from a smaller town and my dad came from a bigger city. And so like, most people in Harrisburg, like a lot of them are related to a lot of people and know a lot of people, and their parents know each other's parents. And my parents just didn't come up, and we didn't even spend our summers here. We spent our summers in Newark. We spent our summers in DC. We spent our summers in Mount Union, where my mom's from. And so we got all these different experiences that we get to leverage when interacting with people.
That's dope, man. That's absolutely dope, man. And that, that helped with soft skills and all of other stuff that, translates well into your professional endeavors and, working in the corporate world, but also in your entrepreneurship journey as well too, man. That's dope, man.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely dope.
Suppress the military language a lot, but
which is something that I think you may have said it one time, Gibran, in this conversation tonight. Too easy, man, which is something that I got from you, brother, because ever since you've been saying that to me, I use that word, those two terms, almost daily in my work life as well too, man. Somebody say something, too easy.
That was like one of the only acceptable answers when a drill sergeant told you something. If anyone went to Fort Benning, like, move all these rocks from here to over there. Too easy, drill sergeant. Because all work is easy work. It's just a mindset. It's not about your ability, because the mind takes over. You just execute, and it just is what it is at that point.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, brother, anything you want to leave everybody, the folks in the chat with, man, before we wrap this thing up, man?
Yeah, thanks for coming out and listening to me. Contact me if you need anything or you just want to kick it, get some information. I love you. I would love to help you. And if you're looking to join the tech community, join the Patreon, man. We got some killers in there, some people that really, really are doing their thing. You got Brother Noah Page, you got Professor Black Ops, you got Big Money Brandy in there.
Brandy Big Money now too, man.
Yeah.
You ain't lying about that.
Yeah, Big Money Brandy. That's her name. That's her name. Yeah, Big Money Brandy. I think it's her Instagram handle. I don't know. Big Money Brandy. Yeah. So like, it's a great community of really Black tech folks from all across the spectrum, all different disciplines, and it's real, and we help each other, and it's not catty at all. Like, it's all about the win. It's a great community, and thank you for setting that up.
Man, you're absolutely welcome, brother. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you being part of it, being part of the Brain Trust, man, and always willing to get on here and give us the game, my man, and just, talk to us about, life and the stuff that you have going on, and, being an inspiration, being an inspiration to the community, coming on the show on the weekends and so forth, and just being able to help the folks in the Patreon out, man. I appreciate you, brother Gibran.
Too easy.
Absolutely. Well, guys, you know how we do it. And until next time, y'all, peace.